Hi, this is Todd Hollis from Todd J Law. Welcome to Civil Action. We've got a great new guest here, Abigail Salisbury. She's running for state representative of the 34th District. She's joining us here today. Come check us out.
We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. And always feel that your life has ultimate significance.
Ms. Salisbury, welcome to Civil Action. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Well, good morning. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us. And I guess there's a lot of new things going on in your world, and you're presently running for, I believe, the state representative position in the 34th District. We're going to talk about that. And but before we get into all of that, why don't you do me a favor and just take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the people?
Sure. Hi, I'm Abigail Salisbury. I'm a practicing attorney in Swissvale. You're in my office now. And I started this business originally over in Wilkinsburg before I moved to Swissvale in January of 2015. I work mostly with nonprofits and small businesses because I saw that they really weren't able to get access to affordable legal services. So I provide a little bit more of an affordable option, and I focus just primarily on those smaller nonprofits and small businesses that I think that I can help the most. I am currently on Swissvale Borough Council. I'm in my 5th year on council, so I was reelected last year to another 4-year term and just came off of 2 years as Borough Council president. So I'm running for, as you mentioned, the 34th in Pennsylvania State House. And sometimes people get confused and they say, oh, you're running for Congress. Nope, this is a state legislative position.
Right.
Yeah, so it's basically Swissvale and many of the surrounding boroughs. You know, we have not gotten those finalized maps yet, but, you know, the draft maps, it's essentially that sort of area with Wilkinsburg and Swissvale, Forest Hills, Wilkins, those sort of, you know, the grouping there.
I'm from Wilkinsburg, 40 years. 40 years in Wilkinsburg. I am. I know that you went to Pitt Law School. I went to Duquesne. I came out, just a few years before you, but, you know, we traveled the same path at some point. So let's talk about your candidacy for the state representative seat that is presently held by Summer Lee. So have you talked with Ms. Lee regarding whether, you know, if things don't work out with her bid for Congress, is she going to give up this seat, or, you know, or you believe that you have a better platform than she does?
So, I mean, nobody runs because they don't think they're very good, right? So
obviously.
Yeah. So I did contact her back in, I want to say November, to let her know that I was running. I know her a little bit. I first met her when she was running back in 2018, I believe it was, because she was seeking local committee and elected endorsement for her first race against Paul Costa. So which
was historical, by the way.
Yes. And so she's currently serving in her 2nd term. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of overlap, frankly, between her positions and my positions on a lot of issues. We don't vary, you know, incredibly widely. I think where we differ is that she does focus a lot more on those national issues, which makes sense because she's running for Congress now. And I think maybe that's a great fit for her because she does focus on those big picture, big national issues. And because I've been in municipal government for the past almost 5 years now, I'm really focused on those really hyper local issues. So that's more what I would like to focus on, and just those, you know, maybe less of like the national activism type of work, which is super important, but just what I want to focus on would be more of that state level hyper local to the district work where you really advocate for things. They're not super exciting, sexy issues. It's, stormwater management and sewer improvements and things like that. They're not, hot button CNN issues, but I think that they're important for the area.
Well, let's add a little color to that. I know that, the hot button issues that you speak of, at least on a national level, also affect what happens here locally, right?
Yeah.
So what are the things that you believe are important that kind of distinguish your platform from Summers, at least at a local level?
So I think some of it comes from being a small business owner because you just kind of have to do everything yourself. I mean, you probably, where I'm coming from.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have to be everything to everybody, right? So, whether it's make your own website or, you're your own marketing team, whatever. I'm a very much like get it done, do it kind of a person. So I'm very action oriented. When I first ran for office on Borough Council back in 2017, there were a lot of people back then, still now it's not an issue that's gone away, who didn't feel like they were being listened to in government. If you remember back then, people were kind of doing publicity stunts where they would tape a note to a pizza and send it to their senator's office or whatever. And so I ran basically not on any issues. I didn't run making big promises of I'm going to fix everything. What I ran on is I'm going to listen to you and I'm going to try to be your voice on council because that wasn't something that people felt like they had. And so as time has gone on, we used to have a very ununified council. Like people really had very differing views on what they wanted to do. It was very contentious. There's a lot of yelling and screaming, frankly. Spit would fly sometimes. And so I, over the years, have worked and council has evolved. We have some new people now, and we really focus on providing services to the community. So during my presidency in council, I was in Leadership Pittsburgh. So they were promoting whatever you're in leadership of, see if you can come up with a shared vision of leadership that you can unite people behind. So what I came up with was, when I thought about all the issues, they really boiled down to three things for me. And those three things were service, safety, and success. I've brought those three things along with me as themes of this campaign because I think that most things relate back to those three issues. So that's really what I'm focused on is listening to the community. When I do phone banking, I call and say, can you tell me what you want? Instead of just calling and telling people, here's all the great things I'm going to do for you.
Sure.
Because I really do believe in that as an essential factor of what I do.
Okay. So when did you finally make the decision that this was the position that you felt you would be effective at? I mean, did it hit you? Did your family members encourage you? I mean, what influenced your decision to begin this campaign?
Yeah, I have had some people reach out to me in the last year. I had people sort of going into the fall before the municipal election, the general election, I should say. They, did encourage me and say, you should run. Have you ever thought about going for higher office? As soon as you run, people ask you, what are you going for next sometimes? So, right. Yeah, so I was encouraged by that. My husband was very encouraging, and a lot of people I know professionally were very encouraging as well. So basically, it was a kind of October, November kind of a decision-making process.
Okay, all right. So you feel that practicing law and politics is congruent?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lawyers in politics, right? I think that it is helpful for a number of reasons. I try to be, in my law practice, I try to be the best advocate that I can be for my clients. You have to exercise a lot of those same skills. You have to listen to what people really want. Sometimes people tell you a whole bunch of information and dump it on you, and you have to distill out what's important there. You have to go and be their representative. You have to advocate for their position. You have to get the best result possible for them. So I think those types of skills are very important when you are working in legislative government. But also, of course, you do have to occasionally, write a bill or, review legislation and see what could potential pitfalls be. So I think that that's probably also a big asset.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad you said that. I mean, there are a lot of people who are watching this show who may not necessarily be familiar with your platform. I guess the biggest question that I have two questions, right? So the first thing is what do you believe your biggest challenges are to winning this seat, for this position? relevant to the present climate. Obviously, the fact that Miss Lee is very popular here. What do you think your biggest challenges are to winning this election?
So, the first thing I should say is I really don't try to cast myself as running against anybody. I did that same approach back when I ran. I know factually you are, but sort of in a philosophical way. When I ran for council back in 2017, I wasn't saying these are all bad people. We need to get them out of here and elect me because I'm great. I just sort of look at it as, here's what I want to do. If you like that, you should vote for me. If you don't, you should not. And realistically, at the end of the day, whoever gets elected, I win as a resident because the group who live here, the residents in this district are going to pick who they think is the best person. If the best person's me, then great. If the best person is not me, then that person will presumably do a better job and I get to benefit from their work as a resident. So, I know in politics now it's very popular to cast your opponent as, bad or, whatever. No. And I don't think that's the case.
No, I would never do that. I've known Summer for many years and I personally like her and I've heard great things about you as well. So I try to create an even platform because I think that in the age of social media, this is an opportunity for your potential constituents to get to know you. And I think, good or bad, they should know, who you are and what you represent. And I think, everybody is better off, right?
Yeah. I think, realistically, when you run in these local races, a lot of people ignore them because they think, it's only important to vote for president or something. But realistically, a lot of these really local races, whether it's, your borough council, city council, these state rep seats, they have a lot more impact on your day-to-day living than some of those nationwide seats might, like the presidential election.
Sure. Yeah.
So
totally agree.
I think sometimes people ignore them, but they are, really important. And if you do have a relationship where you can, ask for things, petition council for things, whatever it may be, you actually can make a really big difference in your community.
I completely agree. So I asked you about the obstacles that would.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went off on a little bit of a tangent there.
No. I want to follow up. Now I want to ask you, what do you believe that your biggest asset is to potentially, maybe you already answered that in prior questions, but I want to ask it more directly in this question. So what do you believe that your biggest asset will be in you possibly being elected to the seat?
I think the biggest asset I have is that, I've spent the past 4 years on council. I have done a lot of this very, it's not a top down, presidential election type thing. It's very bottom up. It's very hyper local, very listening to people. I've built a reputation, I believe, from being very available to people. If you call the borough office, they'll give you my phone number. You can call me and I'll help you with whatever the situation may be. I think that I'm known for being that kind of person. I try to be very accessible and helpful. I've done a lot in the community to try to promote various programming for children, different environmental initiatives. I've, brought some startups here from different fields. So I think that those are all assets where I always say, if I can do those things with no budget whatsoever, what could I possibly do if given actual means and budget to do things?
All right. Well, that brings me to my last and final question. For those who want to support your campaign, for those who want to know more about you, what information should they look for to do so?
So if you would like to check out my website, it's salisburyforpa.com, FOR, not the number 4. And I'm also Abigail Salisbury on Facebook. I'm available and you can friend me. You can follow my political page, whatever you'd like to do. I also have a Twitter that I occasionally remember to do something with. But I also, have had a few news articles that I've been fortunate to put out about the projects that I've done in the community. We had a free theater camp for kids. We have some environmental projects that we've done with composting and things. So if you, Google me, those will probably come up as well if you'd like to learn about some of the work I've done in the area.
Well, I can't thank you enough. Folks, this is an opportunity for you to connect with someone who you may see, at your local grocery store. You may see her riding up and down the street. She is one of us. And this is your opportunity to make that connection, to learn more about her campaign, because as she said, these are the people that, have the biggest impact on our daily lives. So I would encourage you to check her out on her social media platforms. And, as always, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your schedule to hang out with me. It's a real treat, to have someone here that really wants to be accountable. And everything that you've said thus far sounds very much, as what would serve our 34th district, of which I used to be a resident of, in an awesome way. So again, thank you very much. Guys, check her out. If you have the means to do so, support her campaign. And again, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me.
We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because